In the 4th chapter of the epistle to the Colossians, Paul the apostle is writing about putting Christ first in everything. The very theme of the epistle, Colossians 1:18, that Christ is to have first place in everything in our lives. And in particular, in chapter 4, he talks about putting Christ first in our speech. But we also know that though he talks about speech being seasoned with grace and salt, sweetened with grace, if you will, seasoned with salt, he doesn't do much to describe what that means. He didn't have to, because he had written another epistle from the same prison to the same group of people called the Epistle to the Ephesians. If you want to study Colossians, you read Ephesians. If you want to study Ephesians, you read Colossians, because they fit together. And whereas in Colossians, he mandates that we have speech that's sweetened with grace and seasoned with salt, in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29, he describes how. And he says this. He says, "Let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth, but only such a word as is good for edification, it's according to the need of the moment, and that it may give grace to those who hear." In that, I see a recipe for godly speech. 3 profound questions that should be asked, if you will, before we say anything. I call them the taste test for gracious speech. That the first question I need to ask myself before I speak in any context is, number 1, is it good for edification? Is what I'm about to say that which will build up, or is it that which will destroy? Because death and life are in the power of the tongue, Proverbs 18, verse 1. So, is it good for edification? Secondly, is it according to the need of the moment? Is it timely? Does it need to be said now? Maybe I need to wait until I cool down or to think about what I want to say before I say it. So, first, is it good for edification? 2, is it according to the need in the moment? And the third question that Paul poses in Ephesians 4:29 is, will it give grace to those who hear? What is grace but the unmerited favor? It's a gift. So I have to ask myself, is what I'm about to say a grace gift? In other words, here's what Paul's saying. That any word that is not good for edification, that's not according to the need in the moment, and doesn't give grace to those who hear, is an unwholesome word. The word unwholesome is the Greek word sapros. There is no English translation because it means manure, it means vomit, it means foul, it means putrid. So in other words, if anything I say doesn't build up, isn't timely, and isn't a grace gift, then it is foul-smelling in the nostrils of a holy God. That's the first and foremost question that I need to ask before I say one word.